Hey everybody, happy Saturday evening live tutorial stream. I hope everyone is doing well out there wherever you are today. I hope you had a great day. We had a beautiful day here at the Beating Dreams. A little slow. I think that pretty much all of Dallas is taking advantage of vaccinations and has exited the city. I know, I'm all like, I don't know, I was feeling the yellows and the leafices and things this morning. I don't know what that was about, but it's sunny and humid, so maybe that was why I was feeling tropical, because it's definitely
feels pretty tropical
outside, except for minus the ocean. So, welcome to the Saturday evening live tutorial stream, and I'm going to say this really quietly, but we're actually now also streaming simulcasting on YouTube. Very exciting. So I did a technology thing and I made it work, and I'm very excited by that because technology and I are not always friendly, like, at all. But what are we doing today? We're actually doing a slightly different type of project for us. You know, the Beating Dream stream tends to go towards wire fabrication, a little bit of fibercraft. So this is actually a very simple weaving project. Okay, I am not by any means an advanced bead weaver. There are plenty of you out there on the stream who are way better at bead weaving than me, without a doubt. But we're doing a little kind of intro sort of bead weaving project, and the good thing I think about my bead weaving projects is they're good for people who don't know how to bead weave. So we're doing this one. I have titled the Lazy Daisy Necklace. So one of the things that I love to do in my weaving projects is incorporate larger beads, because I don't have the patience for all of the beautiful intricate seed bead work that a lot of people do. It's just not my cup of tea. So this is way more my style. So I take some bigger beads. Of course, it's got a wire wrapped piece because it wouldn't be a Beating Dreams piece without a wire wrap on it somewhere, right? And combine it all with some chain into a fun little necklace. So let's talk tools and supplies for this evening's tutorial. Okay, you're gonna need beads. Duh, right? Of course you're gonna need beads. It's a beading tutorial. So, what flavor of beads are you gonna need? You're going to need some center drilled teardrops. I'm using crystal teardrops, and these are like 10 by 8 crystal teardrops, I think. And so I've got 6 of those, and I just now noticed that one of them is a different color, so that's going to be my bottom teardrop. And then, wait, what's vanilla? What did I miss? I missed something. Mary reacted to something by saying vanilla, and now I really want to know what it is. Also, since we're talking about tropical, I want to take another cruise to Mexico. Oh, what flavor bead? Got it. Well, now you've got me thinking about Mexican vanilla, and now I want to go to Mexico and get vanilla. So that's on you, Mary. You're going to need see, this one's really not vanilla flavor, though. This one's more like a toffee swirl flavor bead, if I were going to give this one a flavor. You're going to need a 10 millimeter bead center drilled. You're going to need 6 millimeter rondelle beads. Again, these are crystals. And then if you want, you can pop in one little accent bead. So we've got an 8 millimeter rondelle there, and that's this one right here. You are going to need 1 head pin, and that's for, of course, that drop down. You're going to need some chain, and you're going to need a clasp and a couple of jump rings. So whatever, you need to attach your clasp to your chain, just depending on what kind of clasp you have. And then you're going to need some size 11 seed beads, and I'm just using an open package of size 11 seed beads in this topaz color. And then as far as tools go, you're going to need a size 10 beading needle, okay? You don't need to use anything smaller than a 10 for this. So size 10 beading needle. You're going to need a sharp scissors. And you are going to need, and I didn't put them on the supply list. Yep, I still see it. But now you're you. And not you're current you and not old you. It's true. So things I didn't put on the supply list or on the tool list, you are going to need your basic wire wrapping tools as well. So that's going to be your round nose pliers, your wire cutters, and your chain nose pliers. I'll go ahead and add that to the listy.
I just found out I had a subscriber And that person must be really sad.
Yeah, it really does suck when, you know, you get subscribers to channels that you don't manage anymore.
Oh.
Okay, and then let's talk thread. So we have used this in tutorials before. This is Fireline. And Fireline is actually a fishing product. You can see it's by Berkley. There's a little fish right there under the label. So the Beading World totally co-opted this from the fishing industry because it is extremely strong and is extremely thin. This is a gel spun polyethylene thread. It is one of the strongest threads out there. I'm assuming since this is 6 pounds, you actually could theoretically catch a 6-pound fish with it. Who wants a 6-pound fish? I don't know, but anyway, so that's what I'm going to use to do my weaving, and that Fireline kind of took the bead. Tallyfat wants a 6-pound fish. Okay, that's fair. You can have all of the 6-pound fishes. But yeah, so Fireline kind of took the Beading World by storm, and Tallyfat, I bet, is this what you use for all of your awesome work that you do, or do you use a different sort of fiber? But Fireline kind of took the Beading World by storm. It was a while ago, because I was still working at the bead shop in Houston when we first started carrying it, and everyone was like, this is the neatest thing since sliced bread, because it allows you to weave with crystals and gemstones, and it is very resistant to being cut. Got it, Nymo and Fireline. And that is an interesting, so Fireline is definitely sturdier than Nymo, but it's also a little bit stiffer, so if you're trying to do something with a lot of sort of motion to it, Nymo is sometimes a better choice. But the thing, of course, we as beaders love the sparkles, So Nymo sometimes has a problem with being cut by the sparkly crystals, and the has Tallyfat posted her lightsabers in Discord, because I must see this. Just saying. So yeah, much sturdier than Nymo when you're using things like crystals and gemstones that tend to be a little bit rough around the edges. Yay! Woohoo! Okay, there. Now I can see everybody.
Allison just sang on stream. There was
Well,
no tune.
It wasn't tune? Wow.
There was no tune. So.
There was no tune, so I couldn't have been out of tune if there was no tune. That's a good point. Okay, so I'm going to start by cutting myself what I call a wingspan, which is basically 5 feet of Fireline. I know that because I'm 5 feet tall, so that's the way that anatomy works. So I've got a 5-foot piece of Fireline. What?
It just always. You're so much taller than that, though.
Well, I mean, I'm 5'4" if I stand up really straight and I, ate my tall cereal in the morning, but
Sometimes you have tall shoes.
sometimes I have tall shoes, but not so much lately. My back is not enjoying the tall shoes at all. So now I'm going to go ahead and thread the Fireline onto my size 10 beading needle, like so. And I just want to make myself a decently long tail on my thread, tail being my term for the overlap, so the thread goes, any of you who are used to working with thread, it goes up and it goes down, and so my tail is not the entire length of the thread, but it's long enough that I don't have this ginormous length of thread that I'm working with. So I'm going to start with my 10 millimeter center drilled bead. My little, thank you, Robin. I'll look at it between streams. Someday I will actually figure out how to connect the Discord to the actual broadcasting stuff so that I can actually scroll through Discord on stream, but that ain't happening right now. Hey, I did a technical thing already, and I'm proud of myself. Like, that's my I know, right? That's my tech cred for today. All right, so we're going to take our 10 millimeter bead, and I'm going to go ahead and put my needle through it, and I'm going to pull most of my thread through it, but not all of it. Okay, so I'm leaving a tail of about 4 or 5 inches coming out of that bead. That's just going to be the what I'm going to use to end with. And then I'm going to put my needle through my bead again, so I'm making a loop of string or thread around the bottom of my bead, like so. So at this point, it's kind of like I'm making a stop bead, except now I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to retrace that path several more times. So what I'm actually doing is I'm making a base. So this thread right here is going to actually form the base that's going to hold my, my crystals. So I'm going to go about 4 times. 4 or 5 is good. Probably shouldn't stitch my thumb in there. Nobody wants my thumb as part of the project.
No?
No.
No.
And it would be difficult if somebody decides to buy the project. It's like, do I cut off the thumb and sell it with the piece?
No.
Or do I remove my thumb and, you know, destroy the artistic value of the piece? I mean, there's just so many difficult decisions to be made. Okay, so that's 4 times around, so that should be sufficient. Like I said, the fire line's pretty sturdy, so that's going to be enough to support it. So let's see. Let me get some light on my actual work. Hey, look at that. I am loving my new IKEA light because it's way more sturdy and yet still flexible than my other light. Okay, so now we're going to start adding our little crystals. So we're going to start with our thread exactly where it is, and I'm going to put on, I do want to go ahead and pull out some of these little seed beads so that I can actually access them. So I'm going to string on, hey Pam, Pam's on the dark side. You stay there for the sale, it's going to get interesting. Alright, so I'm going to string on 1 crystal and 1 seed bead. Then I'm going to pull that up to my bead, my 10mm bead, and then I'm going to take my needle up through my crystal, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it underneath all of these threads. Okay, I'm going to pass it underneath all those threads that I wrapped around my 10mm bead. And then I'm going to pull nice and tight and make sure that you keep your tail out of there. Okay, so if you need to shorten your tail at this point, you don't want it to get caught in any of your stitch work, or you're going to run out of thread really, really quickly because you're going to be sewing with double thread instead of single. Okay, so once again, I went down through my crystal, through my seed bead, back up through my crystal, and then underneath this piece of fire line. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do my crystal, and notice I've got my crystal strung so that the fat part of the crystal is closest to the tip of the needle. That's going to put it to the outside. So crystal and a seed bead, and then skip the seed bead. Okay, if you go back up through the seed bead, everything's going to fall off, which is not what we want. Go back up through the crystal. Try your best not to stab yourself, though, you know, if you do, these things happen. And then once again, I'm going to go underneath those threads that I've wrapped around that 10mm bead. Pull all the way through and repeat. So we have crystal, seed bead. That's pretty redonkulously awesome, I have to say. Robin, do you have an Etsy page, or like, where do you show, or an Insta, like where do you show all the cool stuff that you make? If you have such a thing, please share it in the chat. We would love to all, well, I mean, I'm speaking basically for me and Heather at this point, but I would love to go and totally follow all of your awesome stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Cool, cool. Alright, sorry, I lost my place for a minute there. Alright, so I went up, and then I'm going to go underneath those. Also, shout out to ASO, I'm going to make him blush, for Lori, had notes for a tutorial from way back, close to the beginning of this year, at least, and neither Heather nor I had any recollection of this tutorial.
Yes, that one.
I had no recollection of teaching it, and Heather had no recollection of me teaching it. ASO actually filtered through all of our tutorials and found the one that she was talking about, and I did in fact teach such a tutorial and got her the information that she needed. So shout out to ASO for knowing how to manipulate the technology and make the information be known. Because I seriously had no memory of teaching that at all, which I'm going to blame on the fact that I've taught so many tutorials over the past 18 months or so that
And we're all having collective trauma.
and we're all
response?
having collective trauma response and pandemic brain. But yeah, so shout out to ASO for finding the information for Lori that she needed. Cheers to that. All right, I'm on my 5th drop, and that's going to be the end of my daisy. My 6th drop is going to be for the little wire wrapped bit that's going to go on the bottom. So I'm going to do this. And then on this one, instead of hooking underneath that fire line, I'm going to go through this bead, through the teardrop on the other side. Okay, so now I'm kind of anchoring everything together and going back to this side of my work. So now we're going to start doing this business here that kind of links everything together. And that business is, sorry, I just had to check my counts before I started. All right, it's going to be 3 seed beads and a crystal, and then 3 seed beads, and then through the next teardrop. So we're going to start through this ending seed bead, like so. Pull your thread all the way through, and then I'm going to string 3 seed beads, a crystal being the rondelle, and then 3 more seed beads. So I've got 1, 2, 3, crystal, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 seed beads, a crystal, and 3 seed beads, and then I'm going to take and go through this seed bead that's at the end of my teardrop. And that makes this, which is going to start to kind of give this a little bit more structure, because right now it's very, very kind of wobbly and doesn't have a lot of structure of its own. So now we're starting to kind of link the pieces together. So again, 3 seed beads and a crystal and 3 seed beads, 1, 2, 3, no, just 3, like so. And then we go through the next one. And this is where, now we're at the middle, so this is where we're going to pause and we're going to make our basic wire wrapped piece. I'm going to set all my thread stuff aside and I'm going to grab my head pin. And now if you don't want to stop midstream, of course you could have made this at the beginning of the project. I'm not going to lie, that was kind of my intention, but then I just forgot. So I'm going to string whatever I want for my accent on my head pin. So if I'm going to follow the pattern that I have here, it's going to be a seed bead, a crystal, a seed bead, my accent bead, a seed bead, and then one of my 6mm crystal rondelles. So that's a seed bead, crystal, seed bead, accent bead, seed bead, crystal rondelle, wham bam, that's my little pendant piece. Now I'm going to make a basic wire wrap loop. Basic wire wrap loop, of course, starts with our round nose pliers, and we're going to hold those so that they are touching the top of our bead. Now, of course, if you are looking for a deep dive into basic wire wrapping, that is not tonight's tutorial. We're going to do this one time and one time only, but we did have a tutorial earlier this week. It was Tuesday, not Tuesday, we don't stream on Tuesdays anymore. It was Thursday at noon. We did we did our Back to Basics wire wrapped bracelet. I worked on my little tourmaline project on stream, and so if you're looking for a really good tutorial on basic wire wrapping where that's all we do, just go back to earlier this week, Thursday at noon, Back to Basics wire wrap bracelet, or just hit us up on Facebook or Twitch, look at our videos, and anything that says Back to Basics wire wrapped, anything is going to be a good tutorial for that. So I've got my round nose pliers so they're touching the top of my top bead. I'm going to push my wire away from me over my pliers to make a 90-degree angle. I'm going to loosen my pliers, rotate them 1/8 of a turn, and grab. So I'm grabbing right on that little corner that I just made, I'm going to pull my wire back up over the top of my pliers and down until it hits the bead in front. So what I'm doing is I'm beginning to mold a circle around the jaw of that pliers, and I'm going to loosen, rotate, grab again. All I did there was I moved my pliers to expose this little corner, and then I'm going to finish my circle by pushing my wire under my pliers until I have a 90-degree angle between these two pieces of wire. And this is, of course, what we on the Beading Dreams stream call the lady with a scarf. Because it's like a lady if she were driving along in a convertible with a long scarf trailing out behind her. Now we're going to take our lady with a scarf and we're going to close this loop. So we don't need to link this loop onto anything because we're actually going to stitch it on with the thread. So I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, I'm going to hold across my loop, and I'm going to wrap. And I'm just going to wrap that wire as tightly as I can around the base of my loop and just spiraling down towards my bead. Once I reach my bead, I am done wrapping. And we are going to trim. Maybe we're going to trim that wire off. There we go. And then I got a little pointy stabby there, which I don't want, so I'm going to squeeze my pointy stabby end in, and that gives me my basic wire wrap loop. Now, when I say that the basic wire wrap loop is pretty much the most useful thing that you can teach yourself, I'm really not lying. Because this piece right here doesn't have to go on this Lazy Daisy necklace. If I were to make 2 of these and plop ear wires on there, there's a really nice simple pair of earrings. If I were to string a chain through it, there's a pendant. I could drop 4 or 5 of them off of a chain and wham bam, there's, you know, a necklace. So really, one of the most useful things you can possibly teach yourself is this basic wire wrapped loop. So now we're going to attach this to our project. So what's going to happen is we're going to put on a crystal and then go through that wire wrap loop, then go back up through our crystal and back through that little bead at the end of our bottom teardrop. So that looks like this. So I've gone through the bead on my center teardrop. I'm going to grab a crystal on my needle, a 6mm crystal. I'm going to grab that wire wrapped piece on my needle. Then I'm going to take my needle back up through that crystal. So what I have now is this. So I have the wire wrap piece hanging from the crystal. And then I'm just going to continue to pull, and as long as I didn't split my thread, haha. Well, how in the actual heck did I do that?
I don't know. What
Well, that
did you
makes
do?
2 of us, because I don't know what I did, or how I did it. But
Well, that's never good.
somehow, wow. You know, I just create the best messes on stream. So, I didn't split my thread in the traditional sense, but what I did manage to do, because I'm just that fantastic, is I managed to actually go through the other 2 threads and make a knot in there. It's the knot that's mystifying me right now. I don't quite know how that happened. Okay, so how do I fix this? Because what I really want to do is unthread my needle, and I literally can't. So we're going to try and this is never a smart thing to do, but we're going to try and back the needle through that bead, which did work, thank goodness. And now we're going to figure out exactly how this is tangled.
How in the roaring heck?
Exactly, because it is literally knotted around there. Like I have nothing. I got no explanation. So we're just gonna kind of follow that path backwards until we've undone. There's still a knot in here.
You are so
I think
good.
it's a knot I can work with, but like these threads are legitimately knotted together right there. And once again, I have no idea how that happened.
I blame myself.
Also, presbyopia, it's a thing. It's a really annoying thing. Don't like it.
Agoraphobia is also very annoying.
I'm sure. Agoraphobia is less annoying to me just because I don't have it, and I do have presbyopia. But, you know,
I have quite a few EAs.
I have much sympathy for anyone who does have
What the
agoraphobia.
flux?
What the flux?
What the flux,
Ah!
right?
I fixed it. You did it. I did it. And hey, Now I can see you all again. It's very exciting. Yes.
Yay!
And of course,
As much as you ever could.
As much as I ever could. Like, and of course my eyes decided to do the presbyopia thing like 2 months after I had gone to the eye doctor and ordered new glasses.
Yes.
It's like, am I going to go back and pay for another appointment and another pair of new glasses for bifocals? No, heck no. I'm just going to suffer for an entire year. Because I'm stubborn like that.
Maybe just don't do 4 years this time.
Maybe. All right, so now we're once again going to try this, hopefully without random Gordian knots happening. So I still have my wire wrapped piece hanging on my thread. So I'm going to go up through that crystal, and I'm just going to pull everything in. Hopefully this time, hey, look at that! It actually tightened up all nice and neat and tidy like it was supposed to the first time. So it's all tight up against my beads now. Now don't worry about this one here. This may be confusing, but that's actually my beginning. And then I'm going to go through that bottom bead. So basically I'm just now continuing on in my pattern. So I'm going to continue on, pull that through in my pattern of 3 beads of crystal, 3 beads through, 3 beads of crystal, 3 beads and through. So one of the things about most of the bead weaving projects you're going to see on our stream is that they're all pretty simple as far as patterns go. I'm also, and I am going to freely admit this, I am so bad at following beading patterns or any patterns. Like I can sew, like I can use sewing patterns, but that's different. Like any kind of a chart. That's what I should say. I'm very bad at following charts. For anything, for cross stitch, for beading, for whatever. Like charts and I are not friends. And then written patterns, like crochet patterns and knitting patterns, cannot do it. Nope. Not my cup of tea at all. So anything that you see on the Beading Dream stream is going to be pretty simple as far as pattern goes, because of my own shortcomings as far as following patterns go. So that's basically my lazy daisy right there. So what could we do with this from here on, forward? Well, of course, I'm going to put chain on the edges of it. I'm going to make it a necklace, but you definitely could take these ends and you could string seed beads on them. You could string up, an 1.5 inches of seed beads and put that through another crystal, put it around an ear wire, down through the crystal and all the way down here, and have a great, really awesome pair of earrings, which would be super fun. You could make more than one of these and you could link them together and have a really cool, like 3 or 4 section necklace with these, which would also be really fun. Or you can just do what I'm going to do, which is just plop them onto some chain and call it done. So since I am not really running out of space in any of these beads, I'm going to go back through. That's true, you can't ASO, but my upbringing tells me I still should try. So I'm going to once again go back through all of this, and I'm going to attach the chain on this side, and then I'm going to come back over and attach the chain on that side. That just gives me a little extra reinforcement. I mean, there's nothing saying I couldn't just attach my chain here, but I feel better if I go back through. It's the engineer's genes in me from my grandfather of overbuilding is better than underbuilding.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went all the way through, straight back, and I'm going to pull that through. And I want to make sure that when I pull it through that everything is tight. Okay, so tension, when you're doing bead weaving like this, tension's a huge deal. And you want to make sure, hey, ironic, there's an ironic on a stream. You would just want to make sure that everything is nice and tight, because if you don't, there comes a point where you literally can't tighten it anymore. Like, there comes a point where it's just too late. You've done too much weaving and twisting and turning to pull that slack back through. So you just want to give it a quick look at this point. Make sure that everything is hunky-dory as far as tension goes. And now we're going to put on our chain. So to put on our chain, I'm just doing a little 6-bead loop with the chain on it. So that means I'm going to do 3 beads. And then hook one end of my chain. And I've got about a 16-inch piece of chain. Once I add my clasp and my centerpiece, it means I'm going to be making about an 18-inch necklace. and then 3 more. And then just go straight back through to the other side. Okay, so I had 3 beads, my chain, 3 beads, and then I'm gonna go all the way back through to the other side, and pull everything through and make sure that it's all, once again, nice and tight. Oh, stomach aches are the worst. Headaches are also no fun. That sucks for you, Ironic. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us for a minute. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, and then so that's 3 beads. Grab the other end of my chain and then 3 more beads. Like so. And then this is where I'm going to finish, right here. But since this is my kind of my point of maximum tension, if I can, I'm going to do one more sweep around. I'm going to go through, all this, and then through this side, and then end there. So let's see if I can do that. Let's see if there's enough room. This is the thing when you're doing these types of bead weaving things is, eventually, if you pass through your beads enough times, you're going to run out of space. So yeah, one of my staff is in Boston right now with her mother, and her mother's having terrible GI problems as well, and they can't figure out what it is, which is the most frustrating thing. Excuse me. Oh, 16th of this month? That's pleasantly near, I guess. Okay, so now I'm going to circle through this and then go back through the other side. Awesome, I did it, and then I'm going to go once again all the way through this top part. Sometimes you just have to do it in parts. Come on. There we go. Alright, all the way through. And loop around there. Make sure that your tail doesn't get caught in there. So I've gone back around that loop. And now I'm going to go through just to here because I'm going to tie it off around my beginning, or against my, not against, with is the word I'm looking for, with my beginning thread. So we got to pull, and I can take my needle off at this point, and now I have my beginning thread and my ending thread, and I'm just going to tie them together using a surgeon's knot. So I'm going to cross one over the other, put it through the middle 2 times, pull it nice and tight, and then again, cross one over the other, and pull it through the middle 2 times, pull it tight, if you had hypo cement handy, you could put a dab of hypo cement on that knot. I don't, and you know, at this point, if you tied a good surgeon's knot, it's really not necessary. It's just a little bit of insurance. So I'm going to skip it for the moment. I'll do it after the stream, and then I'm going to cut off my little tails. And the thing about Fireline is it is difficult to cut. So I like these little industrial thread snippers for cutting the Fireline because they are, generally speaking, when you get them new, they are wicked sharp. And they're also cheap because Fireline will dull out your cutters, so you don't want to use anything really expensive on it because it's just going to ruin them. So that is our Lazy Daisy, and we have it on chain, so all I need to do now is I need to split this chain. So I just need to find the middle and cut it. So I'm just going to cut that middle loop, so I've got 2 lengths of chain. And then I'm going to steal the clasp off my other necklace because I forgot to bring the clasp over here. But at least I remembered my needle and thread. Cuticle scissors, that's a great one. Cuticle scissors do work really well for Fireline, and again, inexpensive. Okay, inexpensive is what you want because once again, the Fireline is going to eventually destroy them. So you don't want to use anything really expensive. So I'm just using a jump ring on the second side of my necklace for my clasp to clasp into. That's not the best idea. What you should use is a smaller jump ring and a soldered ring, but we're out of larger soldered rings and antique brass, so I've got a jump ring just on that side, and then on the other side I've got a small 4mm jump ring that I have opened up, and I'm going to drop my chain on there, drop my clasp on there, and then I'm going to close that up. Guys, you know, side effects from medication are the worst. Oh dear, that's awful. That's so bad. Well, best wishes for increasing improvement. Can't even. It's the worst. And then it's all, you know, gets all complicated of like, well, what if this is the original condition, and what if this is side effects, and what if this is stress, and what if this is my brain just completely breaking down and screwing with my body. So yeah, fun times. And our bodies are such stupid, you know, complex machines that it's like, oh, and what, maybe I didn't change my diet. What am I eating now that's interacting badly with all these chemicals? So, all positive thoughts to you, Ironic. And again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate you lots. And hey, look, whilst running my mouth, I finished a project. Yay! So, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Beating Dreams stream for our Lazy Daisy necklace, which could also pretty easily be a Lazy Daisy pair of fun earrings. And you know, you don't even have to, wouldn't even have to do seed beads up. Like I suggested before, you could totally use chain to make this into a fun pair of earrings as well, and then just put a jump ring at the top, ear wire. You could even hang something in there. That would be really, really fun. So, thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Beating Dreams live tutorial stream this Saturday evening. For anybody out there who doesn't know me, if there are any of you who don't know me, I'm Allison from Beating Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead store. We are open for business. Thanks, Ironic. Super, super easy. Like, as far as weaving goes, this is like baby level. This is like kindergarten bead weaving, which is totally the kind of bead weaving that I like. So, Beating Dreams is an actual brick and mortar retail bead store. That means we are open for business and here to feed your need to bead on Lovers Lane in Dallas, Texas. That is 6 days a week. We're here Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. If you're not local in Dallas, you can find us on this channel, twitch.tv/Beating Dream, 5 times a week with complimentary tutorials. We do stream Wednesday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time, plus Thursdays at noon. And of course, we are going to be following up tonight's tutorial and every Saturday night's tutorial with a live merchandise sale at 7:30 p.m. That means that we are going to be selling tonight brand new gemstone beads. We're done with crystals. We're back to stones. It's going to be a fun time. Of course, it's our Sips Shopping and Shenanigans sale. That means that we have a signature drink, and there's a really good chance that Heather and I are going to get pretty silly while drinking it. So if you're looking for some fun, some laughter, and just a general good time, go ahead and tune back into this channel in half an hour, 7:30 p.m. Central Time for that live merchandise sale. So, I know, right? Too bad the dishes won't do themselves.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Well, we have learned in The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
It's true that
chores just have to be done.
Just have to be done. Because if you try and enchant the items to do their own chores, then bad things happen. So, that being said, Heather and I are going to go off and finish closing the store and prepare for the sales stream. So we will be back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beating Dream, in just about half an hour for that live merchandise sale. If you're not going to join us for the sale, I hope you have a... It's okay, Ironic. Nobody here is bothered by it. If you're not going to be here for the sales stream, don't forget we're dark Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And we'll be back with a tutorial Wednesday at 6 p.m. That's going to be these, which I have named the Melody earrings. So that's going to be a fun wire wrapped earring project. So that's going to be Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Of course, that will also be followed by a live merchandise sale. So hopefully we're going to see most of you on the sale stream in just half an hour. If you are tuning in for the sale, of course, you know the drill. Grab yourself a cocktail. Make sure you got something with which to hydrate. Maybe grab a snack. Get comfy, get cozy, and get ready for some super shiny retail therapy right in the comfort of your living room, office, or wherever you are watching the Beating Dreams stream. So everybody have a fantastic 30 minutes, and we will see you all back on this channel. Twitch.tv bless. You can drink for that if you're already drinking. We will see you back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beating Dream, in just 30 minutes for the live merchandise sale. So hopefully I'll see everyone then. If I don't see you there, have a wonderful Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and we'll see you back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beating Dream, really, really soon.